When you ask people, they would say that The Lion King is an animated franchise. But if you ask me, The Lion King is a multimedia franchise. I know that most of the main Lion King projects are animated, but there's much more to The Lion King than people talk about. For example, there are Lion King books, stage musicals, and attractions. And also, there are lots of Lion King comic books that I have talked about most of them. And of course, there are lots of Lion King video games, which is the topic of this video. And here, I won't do any separation when I say the Lion King video games. That will also include the games that are about the Timon and Pumbaa show and the Lion King. And I will also talk about Disney games that have enough Lion King representation in them that will make them worthy of being talked in a Lion King video. I have reviewed a few Lion King games before, but I also included them in this video so that it would be complete. So in a way, this is a compilation video as well, but at least half of it is new stuff. So if you have already watched those videos, the timestamps are down there. You can skip the parts that you have already watched, but I would appreciate it if you watched those as well. Also, I tried to play most of these games for myself, but there were a few games that I couldn't record my gameplay of it, or I couldn't play them at all, because some of them are lost media and some of them were hard to emulate for me, and I didn't have access to a physical version of them. So for those games, I will use parts of YouTube videos that I watched in order to talk about them. And when I reach those games, I will say which YouTube channel I grabbed the gameplay from. With that being said, let's start it. After the success of the Aladdin video game on the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis, Disney attempted to recreate the success. So this time Disney wanted a Lion King video game to be in development alongside the movie. Before that, usually toy video games would be out a few months after the release of the movie, but this time, Disney wanted the game to be taken as seriously as the movie that it is based on. So they asked Virgin Interactive Entertainment, the developer and publisher of the Genesis version of the Aladdin game, to develop a Lion King game as well. And Disney themselves would do the animations of the game alongside the new rendering process so that it would have an animation that is almost as good as the movie itself. The developers were given voice samples of the characters, and the creators of the music of the movie also made music for the game. A short while after the release of the movie, the Lion King video game would be out on home and handheld consoles of Nintendo and Sega and personal computers, alongside an $8 million advertisement campaign. Just like the Aladdin game, the elements that made the movie special would also exist in the game. If the Aladdin game was good, the Lion King video game had to be great. A game known to be one of the best video games ever by Disney fans and also one of the most difficult games ever by retro gamers. At the time, it was one of the most impressive video games ever. So now, after 30 years, I am going to see if this game actually holds up after all this time, or the only reason that this game is so beloved is the impressive animations of the time. For this video, I played 4 versions of the game: Sega Genesis / Mega Drive, Super Nintendo Entertainment System, Nintendo Game Boy, and Sega GameGear. I played them on the Disney Classic Games collection, except for the GameGear version that is absent from the collection. I know there are more versions than these 4, but they are just a slightly different version of them. Like how the NES version is a port of the Game Boy version, and how the Master System version is a port of the GameGear version, or how the PC versions are very similar to the Genesis or the SNES version. And also I think this game exists on LCD games as well, but I do not need to play a Tiger Electronic LCD game to realize if it's a good game or not. Of course it's a bad game. In my first few playthroughs of the Genesis and the SNES version, I used save states and the rewind back function. But I played them enough times to get used to them, and my final playthrough of them, that are the playthroughs that I captured, is done without any use of save states or rewind back function. But my footage of the Game Boy and the GameGear versions do include the use of the rewind back function, because I just don't think that those versions are good enough to get good at. So now with all the introductions out of the way, here is my review of the different versions of the 1994 Virgin Interactive Lion King video game. We start the game at the beautiful savanna of Pridelands. Simba is trying to reach his father, and you can get used to his controls here. You can move and look up and down with the D-pad. You have one button for jump and one button for roar. On the top left of your screen is your roar meter. Each time you roar, it will be reduced and it takes a short while for it to refill. The higher roar meter you have, the louder you can roar. For some enemies you will need a louder roar. On the top right, you can see your health. And also here I should mention that this game is some sort of a cinematic platformer. It is less of a Mario and more of a Prince of Persia. What I want to say is that don't expect your platforming to be as good as more well-known platformers. It is not going to be as fast or accurate as what you expect. The platforming is more realistic and you should be more careful with it. In real life you cannot jump too high and you can't have a control of where you land when you have already jumped.
The cat, if he jumps in midair, wouldn't all of a sudden jump and turn the other way. He'd have some actions where he turns around. Physics would carry him a certain way. So we have to make these things appear to happen instantly and still apply the same sort of naturalistic feel that the film has.
Be patient and you will get used to it. There are chameleons that you can deal with by jumping on them. And there are hedgehogs that you should roar at them to make them vulnerable and then you should jump on them. And there are bugs that when you jump on them, they would explode, so run away from them after jumping on them. And there are also yellow bugs that by collecting them you will receive health. Checkpoints of this game is in the form of Simba's painting. You can also grab the ledge of platforms. There are also some colorful bugs that you can collect, but I don't know what they do. At the end of the level, you will see a hyena as your first boss fight. And it is easy. Just avoid it for a few seconds until it gets tired, then jump on it. In the Game Boy version, explosive bugs will explode by impact, so stay away from them and kill them by roaring at them. You have no roar meter in the handheld versions. The GameGear version of this level is vertical. You should use the platforms and the circles that you can grab to reach the higher parts of the levels. Bugs on this version will explode when you get near them. It also has some emeralds that you can collect, but again, I don't know what they do. You will see a pixel art version of the Everything Delight touches scene in the home console versions after the first level. After each level, you have a chance of playing a minigame in which you can play as Timon or Pumbaa and collect bugs to get extra lives and continues. Here is probably where a lot of people were stuck as a kid. Yes, it becomes that hard in the second level. Just like the movie, it has realistic colors, but suddenly it changes into a colorful world. There are rhinos that you can grab their tails and swing. Jumping on their heads will send you flying into the sky. And there are monkeys that will send you into another part of the level. There are giraffes that you can use their heads as a platform, but do it fast because when you jump on them, they will look up and that will send you down into the water and it will instantly kill you. You can see some nests that you can jump on and you can use them to reach some pink monkeys. Roaring at them will change the direction that they will send you at. This level is some sort of a puzzle platformer. At first, the monkeys will send you back to where you was, and you should change the direction of pink monkeys so that you will be sent to the end of the level. There are ostriches that you can ride, and in these parts you should have fast reflections. There are pink animals that you should jump to avoid them, and nests that you should hold down to dock so that they won't hit you. And sometimes there are both nests and animals, and you should jump twice to avoid them. And you should be careful with its timing. Any mistake can lead to an instant death. Then you will reach a tight platforming section. You should swing with the tails of the rhinos and jump on the head of hippos to reach the next section. In the Genesis version, there are shortcuts, and I won't feel bad for using them because this part is not a fair challenge. It is just annoying, because after a few playthroughs, I still don't know what part of the tails I should grab exactly. In the Game Boy version, you don't need to roar at the monkeys. Also, the small size of the screen and the placing of the ostriches makes this version of the level even more unfair. In the GameGear version, the ostriches are just moving platform and there is no do or die situations in them. But the puzzle elements are still there, but here roaring works on all monkeys. Just like the movie, there is a gigantic skull that hyenas would come outside of it. It is one of those situations that the boss of the first level would become a regular enemy. There is a locked door that would be unlocked when you deal with the hyenas. Then there will be some falling platforms that you can get health by avoiding them. But then there are some bugs that you will be damaged by collecting them. This game sometimes punishes you for exploration, and I don't think that is considered a good design. There are some bones that you can't grab and swing to reach the next sections. Then you will see new enemies in the form of vultures, and they can obviously fly, but you can deal with them by jumping on them. Some parts of the level is blocked with piles of bones, and like the classic Sonic games, you can hold down while moving to roll down and destroy them. And then some ledges that you should grab and climb to get to the higher places of the level. For some of them you should do it fast in order to avoid instant death. There are also some springs in the level and some of them will break down. Then some breakable platforms that you should be careful with to avoid getting hurt. And then a part that you can avoid the enemies and run and even tank damage to reach the end of the level faster. But be careful because there is a part that if you make a mistake in it, you will be sent to the beginning of the level. At the end of the level, there is another locked door that will be opened when you kill the 3 hyenas that are guarding it. When the level ends, just like the movie, the camera goes up to show Scar, and in the game, thanks to some shadowing, he looks even more menacing. In the Game Boy version, the climbing of the ledges is kinda automated. Just mash the jump button. And I guess here is a good place to mention that the handheld versions are kinda mindless. Like very few times I actually had to slow down and do some actual platformings. This level is different. Simba is running toward the camera, and you can only move him to left and right, and you can jump but you have even less control over it. Just like the movie, there are a lot of wild beasts, each of them moving at a different speed. And there are also some rocks that you should avoid as well. They will blink 3 or 4 times before hitting you. Sometimes instead of a picture of a rock, a question mark will appear. And you may think it means that the placing of the rock would be random, but nope, it is always the same place. The handheld versions are easier. In the Game Boy version, it is a top-down view and there is no rocks, so it is easier to avoid getting hit. The GameGear version is a traditional level. You just need to be careful of where and when you jump. Also note that if you are playing the handheld versions on easy mode, this will be the final level, so play the handheld versions on normal or hard mode to get the entire experience. This level starts with a cutscene. This time you have to reach the lower part of the level in order to escape. But be careful because some rocks will fall down occasionally. In some parts, giant rocks will roll down and kill you if they touch you, and you should run fast to avoid it. Sometimes there is an enemy that you should roll to kill. At first I was not aware of this move and I lost a lot of lives because of that. Also, this level loves hedgehogs and pits filled with spikes. Being cocky in this level will get you killed. The level also ends with a cutscene. The Game Boy version is just a dumbed down version of the level. In the GameGear, it is also dumbed down, but it also reuses assets from the first level and it is not a challenge at all. In this level, there are waterfalls that will send you down, and by holding left or right sometimes you can change the direction to get some collectibles. There are some frogs that shoot at you when you get near them, and spiders that are really annoying. They move fast and jump at the worst moments possible. This level is also full of ledges that you can grab and rocks that you can swing on, and sometimes go different ways to get health and extra life. But the worst part of the level is where you should cross a river and a waterfall, and there are logs that you can use as platforms, but the way they move makes it really difficult. At the end of the level, you will see an actual boss fight. There is a gorilla that hits you when you get close to it, so you have to wait and avoid the coconuts that he throws at you, and then jump on him when he gets up, and if you don't, he would hit the ground so hard that it would damage you. Do this cycle a few times and you will win. In the Game Boy version, making mistakes at the waterfall section won't instantly kill you, but instead it is slow and boring. The gorilla boss fight functions different in this one. He will throw coconuts, but this time you have to jump at a certain time to throw it back to him in order to damage it. The GameGear version of this level is annoying. It is completely different from the other versions. In this level, there are leaves that you can use as a platform and leaves that you can use to swing, but it is hard to tell where exactly you need to go. The gorilla here is also different. He just tries to slap you, but it is easy to cheese this version of the boss fight. Now we have reached the adult Simba levels. The gameplay changes a little bit. You cannot roll down anymore, but you now have a slash and a double slash button. And I think Simba is a little bit slower now. And we have a new type of enemies, leopards. They will jump on you and attack you when they see you, but mashing the slash button usually gets the things done. This game has a very simple combat system. There are also some annoying monkeys that throws rocks at you. And there are some portal thingies that blocks your way and summons a few leopards, and when you deal with them, Rafiki would come and unlock the door for you. Then you will see some giant rocks that are connected to vines, and by slashing the vines, the rocks would fall and roll to make way for you. But don't touch them when they are moving. Also check around to find some extra continues before setting the rocks free. After a while, you can find a bottle that increases your maximum roll capacity, which is useless because I barely use my roll. It should have increased the maximum health instead, because being hit 4 times will kill you, and that is annoying at the latter half of the game. You will reach Mufasa's ghost at the end of the level. In the Game Boy version, the gorilla becomes a regular enemy. Also here, it is a little bit hard to find your way out. The GameGear version continues being annoying with a level design that is both boring and confusing at the same time. You will fight the gorilla again at the end of the GameGear level. Here the game can get really annoying. There is too many enemies in the level, and because the combat system is kind of brain dead, that is not a good thing. And also the worst animals that can exist in video games is here. Bats. They rotate around you fast and it is really hard to hit them. They are the reason of half of my deaths. And not only there is too many enemies, there also is too many obstacles. Lava comes from both above and below, and it makes this level hell. After a while you will reach a section that you have to hit a few rocks that are connected to the ceiling to continue. After that you will be on a moving platform on the lava and bats will attack you. Here really needed a checkpoint, but there isn't any. And because of that, if you choose to not use the rewind back function of the collection, it can really be annoying because those bats can make you fall into lava and die instantly. The Genesis version sometimes glitches and doesn't load all the bats, which is a good thing actually. After more platforming, you will reach the boss fight of this level. There are 4 holes that lava comes out of them, and it would lead to some rocks fall down. You have to avoid them until those holes would be blocked, and then you have to jump on the left one to finish the level. The Game Boy version does not include this level, and the GameGear version is again a boring level design. This level is also annoying. This one is a maze. This level is full of caves, and if you reach one and push the up button, you will go to another room. Each room also has a few caves, and you need to kill all the hyenas in a room to be able to use the caves. There are 2 things that makes this level unfair. First is the fact that you don't know which cave to use, so a lot of times you would go to the wrong room and it takes a long while to find the right cave. And second is that when Simba is an adult, the hyenas act unpredictably, and that combined with the large count of the hyenas makes this level really hard. The final room has 4 hyenas in it, and it is more than enough to make this level a nightmare. The Game Boy version is again just a smaller version of the home console versions. But each time you enter a new room, you will have a few seconds of iframes so that the hyenas wouldn't kill you the moment that you enter a room. And the GameGear version is again just boring. Now in the final level we can deal with Scar. After multiple playthroughs, I have just realized how to fight him. You should jump on Scar's head. When you do that, Simba would automatically slash Scar once. That is when you should rapidly mash the slash button to do a huge damage to him. When he forces you to stop doing that, get away from him so that he can't hit you, and then repeat the cycle until he runs away. Then you have to do more platforming to fight Scar again. There are multiple hyenas in the way, but I suggest you to just avoid them. After fighting Scar for the second time, you have to do even more platforming, but this time it is really annoying. There are a few platforms, but lightning will strike on most of them, and they would be burning in fire. It took me a while to understand the pattern and avoid reaching Scar without losing most of my health. When you fight Scar for the 3rd time, things get a little bit different. You should still do the multiple slash thing until Scar gets tired. That is when you should move toward him and hold the double slash button, and that would throw Scar. Just like the movie, you should use this technique to throw Scar off the Pride Rock. After defeating Scar, the rain would put out the fire and you will reclaim the throne. The Game Boy version has no strategy. Just mash the slash button to defeat Scar. In the GameGear version, there is no level. It is just Simba vs Scar. And in this one, when Scar jumps, you should also jump and slash at him to send him down. I expected the Game Boy version to be the worst of the four, but somehow the Game Gear version was worse. And the reason is that the Game Boy version is a watered down version of the home console versions. But the home console versions are good enough, and even a watered down version of it is fine. But the Game Gear version tried to be its own thing and failed miserably. Usually I would prefer Game Gear games to be their own thing and avoid being just the worst version of the Sega Genesis games. For example, I do not love most of the Game Gear Sonic games because they just try to be the Genesis Sonic games on the go, but because the Game Gear is much weaker than the Genesis, they fail, and I would rather replay the Genesis games than playing the Game Gear ones. But the only Game Gear Sonic game that I love is Tails Adventure, because it does not try to be the Genesis games on the go. It knows the Game Gear is not as powerful as the Genesis, and because of that it tries to be its own thing, and this makes it one of the best Game Gear games ever. But because The Lion King on Game Gear is probably a rushed product, it failed both as a handheld version of a home console game and as its own thing. The Game Boy version isn't anything special either. In the year of 1994, it was acceptable, but now that you can play the better versions on the likes of Nintendo Switch, there is no need to play this version of the game. Nowadays, I don't think there is any Game Boy game that is still good by today's standards. But now we get to the important question. Which version is the best, SNES or Genesis? I believe it is up to your own taste. They are both good games, but in my personal opinion, the Genesis version is slightly better, because in the SNES version the camera is a little bit zoomed, and that makes the game a little bit unfair. Also, in the SNES version the colors look, muddy, washed up. It looks a little bit weird, and I prefer Genesis music over SNES music. And also those shortcuts in the Genesis/Mega Drive version saves you from a few unfair challenges. But again, feel free to disagree with me, because this stuff is usually subjective. But now the other important question. Does this game hold up after 30 years? Yes, but under one condition. Don't play it on the original hardware. I suggest you to get the Disney Classic Games collection, because that rewind back function saves you from annoying moments. And also it includes Aladdin and the Jungle Book games as well. The handheld games aren't anything special, but the home console games alone makes it worth it. As you can guess from the name of the game, it is an interactive storybook. We start the game with an animated picture of all the characters. Then we see Timon. He tells us how to play the game and talks about the options. By choosing the play option, the game starts. In this game, we see a picture of a few scenes of the original movie, and by clicking on different parts of the picture, stuff happens. On some parts, a narrator reads some text on the screen that tells the story. Sometimes the characters are animated and they talk. Outside of the main screen, there are characters that by clicking on them, you will see other things. For example, by clicking on Simba and Nala, you can play a minigame. First is the Circle of Life scene, and then the Everything the Light Touches scene, that has a minigame in which we pounce on Zazu as Simba. Then it's the Our Little Secret scene, and after that the Can't Wait to Be King scene. and after that the elephant graveyard, and after that the look at the star scene. It has a minigame for drawing animals by connecting the stars, and after that the be prepared moment, and after that the stampede scene. When Simba runs away, Scar has a really funny smile on his face. After that, it's the Hakuna Matata scene. The minigame of this scene is us pointing on the bugs so that Timon can collect them. Then Simba grows up. After that, Nala shows up. So that means the next scene is the Can You Feel the Love Tonight scene. And after that, the He Lives in You moment. And after that is the final battle. And there isn't any interactivity for it, but the aftermath is great instead. You yourself have to click on different parts of the Pridelands to make it green and lively again. And then the final scene. The narrator refers to Simba and Nala's cup as a he. I could look deep into it and say this is Copa, so it's in the 6 New Adventures timeline. But it was years before the Lion King 2, so who cares really, it's just a video game, there's a very low chance of it being canon. And that's it, I don't have much things to say about it because it's just Lion King 1 as an interactive storybook. And there isn't anything interesting to say about it, except that this game could be one of the main reasons of the existence of DirectX, because this game wasn't compatible with all devices of the time. We start the game with a look at the Pridelands. You can click on different parts of this shot to see different parts of the game. First, I went to Rafiki's tree. I clicked on Simba's painting, which led me to a drawing and painting section. This game, just like the previous game, is for very young kids, so there isn't anything special for adults. Unless, like me, you want to experience every single Lion King media. You can have an invisible picture that by dragging on it, it will be revealed. Then you can paint it in different ways and put stickers on it. There is also a mode in it that you can complete a picture with connecting dots. In Rafiki's tree, there is also a tic-tac-toe minigame and a jigsaw puzzle game. The next section I chose was the elephant graveyard. It has a maze minigame, and a matching minigame, and a Simon Says minigame. The next section I chose was the waterhole. Here we can watch clips from the Lion King 1. The next section I played was the waterfall. This one has a minigame in which you should guess a word by clicking on letters. And again, I say this game is for younger kids. There is no penalty for making a mistake. And a minigame in which you have to choose 2 bugs that look the same. Here I realized you can easily get a clue without any problem. And a minigame in which you should find hidden animals in a picture. And that's it. This one was also just a collection of minigames. This one is also a collection of minigames. It is a menu with a few pages, and on each page you can choose a few minigames and also have some cute interactions with the characters. In the first minigame, we play as Zazu. We control where he flies to with the D-pad, and we should make him touch the animals and avoid the obstacles. In the next minigame, we play as Simba. A bug jumps on a few platforms, and we should make Simba do the same thing by clicking on the platforms. In the next minigame, we play as a bug. It is a maze game, and we should help the bug reach the end of the maze with the D-pad. In the next minigame, we also play as a bug. With the D-pad, it moves, and it should move according to the order of the alphabets. The next minigame is a jigsaw puzzle game. And the next minigame is a very easy platformer. And the next minigame is also a jigsaw puzzle game. The next minigame is a counting game. In the next minigame, there are bugs that are hidden in the jungle, and you should click on them so that Pumbaa can eat them. The next minigame is a little bit complicated in comparison to the other minigames, but you will understand it by seeing one round of it. This is how the game works. It's some weird sort of a card game. The first person or computer that gets rid of all of his/her/its cards wins the round. There are 6 slots in the middle of the screen. The 2 middle slots are full. Each 2 cards are connected to each other. There are shapes on each card. You should put a card next to the middle ones so that the same shapes would be next to each other. Then the similar shapes next to each other would disappear, and the furthest shape would replace the middle shape that disappeared. So now you got rid of one of your cards. You can rotate the cards as well, and if you don't have a card you need, you should get a new one. And that was the last minigame. There is just an extra drawing section in this game that lets you draw stuff and put stickers on it. This game is a minigame collection. There are 2 versions of this game, a PC version and a SNES version. The first minigame I played is called Burper. It's a weird shoot 'em up game. The closest thing to this game that I can think of now is Donkey Kong 3. You can go left and right with the D-pad. The bullets of this minigame is in the form of Pumbaa's burp. You have 1 button for small burp and 1 button for big burp. But don't spam it because you can run out of burp. Some of the enemies are bugs that if you fail at killing them, they can land and walk, and if they touch you, you will be damaged. But you have some sort of a melee attack for those situations. Pumbaa can use his tail as a whip, 1 button for left attack and 1 button for right attack. In a certain amount of time, you need to kill a certain count of enemies. If you run out of time or you receive too much damage, you will lose a life. And if you run out of lives, obviously it's a game over. You can receive extra lives. These games are kinda endless. In some of them you can go to the next level, but there is no end to it and it just gets harder until you die. The next minigame that I played is a Timon and Pumbaa themed pinball. It's obvious what a pinball is, you don't need me to tell how it works. I love pinball, but this one is kinda annoying. You know those rare situations that the ball is falling down, but you can't hit it no matter what? That situation in this minigame is anything but rare. I think there isn't a next level in this minigame. Sometimes you can get some power-ups like an extra ball or saving a falling ball. The next minigame I played is called Sling Shooter. It's my favorite minigame in this game. I don't know if it's the name of the genre, but if you see it you know how it plays. You can aim with the D-pad and there is 1 button for shooting. You should shoot at a certain count of targets in a certain amount of time to go to the next level. But be careful because you can run out of bullets and there are a few targets that will give you negative points. And now the PC exclusive minigame. I think its name is Bug Drop and it's basically a Puyo Puyo game. If you're on YouTube, you already know what Puyo Puyo is. It's a puzzle game. You need to put shapes of the same color next to each other in a certain way to get a point. I don't know what else to say about it really. And also, if you already do not like the SNES version, you are not going to like the PC version. Yeah, the PC version is better, it has an extra minigame and it has some nice animations, but the core of it is the same. With the exception of this one extra minigame, there isn't really any spatial difference between these two versions of this game. The last minigame I played is called Hippo Hop, and it's a variation of Frogger. I don't know if it's a bug or this one is just hard, but I was stuck at level 1. Even setting the game on easy mode didn't help. I think there isn't that much difference between easy, normal or hard mode. Because in Burper and Sling Shooter I would go up more than a few levels no matter the difficulty level. And in Jungle Pinball and Hippo Hop I fail miserably no matter what the difficulty level is. It isn't balanced well. 2 minigames are too easy and 2 minigames are too hard. And yeah, that's it. What do I think about this game? It's good enough. If you like minigames and The Lion King, then yeah, play it. But if you don't, well, nowadays there are lots of these type of games on mobile devices. If you have played a similar game, then this game does not offer anything new. Unless you are nostalgic for this game or you love Timon and Pumbaa. It's not anything special, but I still wonder, why wasn't this game on the Disney Classic Games collection? There was already an SNES emulator on that, then why didn't they just add it in the base game or DLC? It's just a sad thing about modern gaming. Only games that are considered perfect will get re-releases. And if they are anything less than that, then companies pretend that they don't even exist. It would be cool if we had a Lion King video game collection. Imagine all the versions of the OG game alongside the 2 versions of Simba Mighty Adventure and the GBA game, and this one on a collection. Everyone would buy to play the OGs, but then they would also play the rest as well. In a perfect world, all the 30 or so Lion King games would be available on modern hardware, but I just asked for bare minimum. It's a very old PC program that lets you print the picture of Lion King characters. It's a Tiger Electronics LCD game. I don't know what more to say. As you can see, there are more than a few Lion King games that are educational. That's because the term edutainment was popular in the 90s. There were franchises that were made to be edutainment media. But most of the more well-known educational games were based on non-edutainment franchises. Oh, did I say well-known? Sorry, I meant infamous. The likes of Mario is Missing and Sonic's Schoolhouse are laughing stocks at this point. Because they were not made with teaching in mind. They were made with making money in mind. Game development in the 90s were cheaper, so when any genre of gaming would get popular, already established franchises would release a new game in that genre in just a few months, and bam, easily made money. And of course, it wasn't just related to gaming franchises, because cartoon franchises also did this, especially when it came to edutainment. Because in an era that parents were worried about stuff like violence in gaming, educational games were the only types of games that some of them would willingly buy for their kids. So for companies like Disney, with their huge amount of lovable characters for children, it was granted money for them to make edutainment games based on their IPs. One more popular form of an educational game is 10-finger typing. So Lion King made a typing game with their popular characters Timon and Pumbaa. I am not that good at typing, so even though I am not a kid, I think I am a suitable enough person to review this game. So let's start. This game actually has some sort of a story. At first, Timon and Pumbaa are in a classroom, I think. Some bugs are annoying Pumbaa, so we should help him through typing. But before that, we should learn a few typing lessons from Rafiki. He tells the basics of 10-finger typing and tells the easiest keys to type without looking at the keyboard. After a little bit of practice, it's time to help Pumbaa. There are holes in the floor that are organized similar to a keyboard. From the holes that are in the place of the few keys that we have learned, bugs would come out. And by pressing the key that represents the hole that the bug has come out of it, Pumbaa would shoot berries at them. After that, Rafiki would teach a few more keys, and then again we should play the same minigame. After a few rounds, the cycle ends. You will receive a certificate, and Pumbaa and those bugs become friends because they actually had fun, and we reach the next section of the story. Timon and Pumbaa are walking through the desert. Pumbaa is thirsty, so he can't walk anymore. Timon drags Pumbaa to a place so that he can get some water for him. They reach a construction that can give them water, but it's broken and the guy responsible is not willing to help. So Timon has to make the construction work himself. But of course he can't do it alone, so we should help him through typing. So that means more typing lessons from Rafiki. The minigame in this section is a little bit more complicated. In the first section, we dealt with letters, but now we deal with words. For each word we type, the construction works more, and eventually the water tank would be full. But each time something happens that makes us repeat the cycle a few times. In the next section, Timon and Pumbaa reach a jungle full of bugs. So now we should help them catch the bugs through typing. So again, after a few lessons from Rafiki, we reach another typing minigame. This time there are a few words at the same time. Each of them will make Timon and Pumbaa jump on a platform. I think the game wants us to choose the platforms that have bugs on it. But instead of catching bugs, I just typed the word that was easier for me and didn't catch that many bugs. But it didn't register as a failure. Yeah, there are failure states in this game. If you make too much mistake, you should repeat a round. And now we reach the final section of the game. Well, at least I hope it's the last one because the game crashed, but I had seen enough from the game and didn't feel like there was a need to play the game more. Timon and Pumbaa reach a cave, but there were hyenas in it. So now we should help Timon and Pumbaa run away from them through typing. After a few lessons from Rafiki, it's time for the typing minigame. This time we are dealing with sentences. The speed of Timon and Pumbaa's running is related to the speed of our typing. So if you are slow at typing, you will lose. Sometimes there are two words to choose to type, and each of them will lead you to a different way. So there you have it. What do I think about this game? I had my fun with it. As I said, I am not good at typing, so I kinda needed something like this. And I am also a fan of The Lion King, so there is also that. I guess if you are as big of a Lion King fan as me, and you are not a typing expert, then you will have fun with it. And I believe kids will like it as well. But here is the problem. These games are old and you can't install it on modern hardware. I played most of these old PC games on a Windows XP virtual machine, And I don't think it's worth creating a virtual machine just so that your kids will learn typing with Timon and Pumbaa. But if you already have a virtual machine or an old PC, then yeah, why not? I think it's a good way to teach your kids how to type. I mean, I think it improved my typing a little bit by just playing it for 2 or 3 hours. So yeah, I guess it can actually help kids how to type. The game starts at Rafiki's tree. There are paintings of different animals on the wall, and clicking on each of them will lead you to their respective section. First I clicked on Rafiki's color tank, which led me to the drawing section. Then I played the giraffe section. It has a music production part. You can make music by giving fruits to the giraffes. By clicking on Rafiki's staff at the top right corner, you can go to the other parts. There is a part that lets you create a giraffe. And also every single section has a part that is a music video about that respective animal. The next section I played was the elephant section. It has a minigame in which you should put an elephant on the platform according to the pattern.
How'd you figure that one out? I was having a hard time.
The Future King, everyone. The Future King. Then there's a section that lets you make an elephant. Yes, every animal section also has a part that lets you make that animal. The next section I played was the monkey section, which had a Simon Says minigame. Then the hippo section that has a minigame in which you should move purple hippos so that a pink hippo can get out of water. I think I played mobile games similar to this before. Then the lion cub section with a minigame in which you should find hidden cubs. After playing all sections, you can click on Pridelands to play the final section. All the animals are gathered and Simba asks you questions about the animals. You have already heard the answers to those questions before in the game. At the end, you will become an honorary member of Pridelands and they will celebrate it with another song. In Simba's Pride Active Play and Simba's Pride Game Break, Kovu is seemingly living in the Pridelands, or at least Simba is okay with Kovu coming to Pridelands sometimes. I could go off on a tangent again and theorize for 10 minutes about what is different in this timeline. And if you have been following this channel from the beginning, I think that's expected from me. But I'm not in the mood today, it's just a stupid toying game, who cares really. This one is also a minigame collection, but I think some of these minigames have been sold separately as well, but I only played the complete version. The first minigame I played was Cup Chase, which is a maze game, I don't know what more to say. The next minigame I played was Paddle Bash, which is a competitive breakout clone. There are a lot of factors in who will win. There is the amount of bricks you break, but be careful to only use your ball to break them, because if you use the ball of your enemy, then it won't count for you. But the more important factor is to hit the wooden squares, so that a bridge would be made in front of a character, Timon or Pumbaa according to which character you choose. And if the bridge in front of your chosen character is fully made, then he will eat a bug and that gives you a lot of points. And there are a bunch of power-ups as well. The next one I played was Swamp Berry Sling, and it's a shooting minigame. I have played countless amount of these type of minigames. And the last minigame I played was Conga Longa, which is a weird version of those snake games on those very old mobiles. So that's it. This one is also a fine minigame collection. If you are interested in my videos, please subscribe. After the success of the Lion King game on Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, Disney knew they had to have more Lion King games. Not all of them were platformers like the original, but with the release of the Lion King 2, it was time to make another Lion King platformer to work as a sequel to the SNES/Mega Drive game. Despite the popularity of some Disney games on Nintendo and Sega consoles, this time Sony's PlayStation console was their main focus, because it sold much more than the Nintendo and Sega consoles of that generation. This time Activision was tasked with publishing the game, and Activision does not always mean good quality, does it? The Lion King 2 is not as big of a success as the Lion King 1, but at least some people respect the Lion King 2. But when you compare Simba's Mighty Adventure to the game that it was supposed to be a sequel to, it's a big failure. The first game was a critical and financial success, but not this one. With a score of 3 out of 10, this game is considered a disaster. I was caught off guard when I realized that, because I played this game as a kid and I remember really enjoying it. So I guess now as an adult, I need to revisit the game and see if people were too harsh on it, or was this game really that bad. This game isn't just an adaptation of the Lion King 2. It's actually an adaptation of both Lion King 1 and 2. So that means that just like the first game, we will start this game at the beautiful savanna of Pridelands. And again we need to help Simba reach Mufasa to see the everything the light touches scene. And I think I shouldn't have called it the beautiful savanna of Pridelands, because it is Pridelands, but it definitely isn't beautiful. You know, if this game was released in 1996 or sooner, I would be fine with it, because at least I could come up with the excuse that it was an early PS1 game, so 3D was a new concept in the world of gaming. Even though Crash Bandicoot was released at that year, but not everyone is as talented as Naughty Dog. But the thing is, this game was released at the year of 2000. Even if it was released at 1998, at least their excuse would be that the game had to be rushed so that it would be there next to the Lion King 2 VHS. But it was released 2 years after the movie. If they were already 2 years too late, why was this game still rushed? These models don't look good. When I played this game for this review, I realized that I had one of the worst cases of nostalgia blindness. I remember these 3D models to be much more detailed. In my mind, they look like the models from the PS2 Kingdom Hearts games. But in reality, man, these 3D models are ugly. So without even needing to talk about the gameplay, I can already see where the hate of this game comes from. The first game was one of the best looking games of the time, but this game even by PS1 standards look ugly. But the graphics are not everything. If the gameplay is good, then I am willing to forgive the ugliness. So let's see how the gameplay is. You can move with the D-pad or the left analog stick. There are collectibles that gives you points, with each color having a different value. You need 100 points to unlock the next level, but don't worry, even on a very casual run, that is an easy task. Even if a young kid finishes a level in this game, he or she would have collected enough collectibles to have enough points. But if you are not a child, then try to collect them all so that the game wouldn't be a boring brain-dead experience. Also, I should mention that the movement controls aren't as responsive, and I don't know if that's because of the lack of polish or because they were trying to recreate the movement of the first game in this one. It is not bad, but don't expect a movement as smooth as the movement of the likes of Crash and Spyro. You can jump with the cross button, and there is a little bit of a momentum to it. You can jump slightly higher if you were running before jumping. You will see Nala and she will tell you this, but it's a little bit too late because you already had to jump in order to reach her. Be careful with your movement though, because hitting a wall kills the flow. There are 5 letters that you can collect to form the name Simba, probably inspired by Donkey Kong Country. You will see your first enemy, which is a bug. You can roar at it with the circle button to kill it. Killing enemies will also give you points. In each level, there are 500 points to collect, and that includes the points that you will get by killing enemies. So if you want to 100% a level, you need to collect everything and kill every single enemy. Also, collecting 100 points gives you an extra life. Then you will see lizards that you should jump on them to kill them. After that, you will see fruits that you can collect to unlock minigames. You will reach Mufasa and he tells you how to row, which again is too late to say. Zazu is the checkpoints of this game. You can collect meat to fill your health bar. You will see Scar, and I think it's a good time to say that the voice acting of this game isn't anything special. I think none of the voice actors of the movies returned for this game, so they just tried to mimic their voices and yeah, they failed at it. Scar tells you that you can roll with the square button. You can use it as an attack, but I think roaring and jumping are more useful. You can use the roll to kill the bugs, but for more powerful enemies like hyenas and lionesses, you could end up damaging yourself. But you can roll before jumping to reach a slightly higher place. You will see Scar again later in the level, and this time he will teach you how to pounce. If you jump and then roll in the air, you can pounce on enemies. That's what Scar says, because it doesn't actually work. I think they ran out of time and they couldn't implement this function correctly. Sometimes I use the pounce to correct my jumps, but as far as combat is concerned, a regular jump is more useful than pouncing. Not that I'm complaining, it's actually funny because they accidentally got Scar's personality right. Then you will meet Nala again, and she tells you that you can grab from the edges of platforms. So yeah, on paper this is a sequel to the 16-bit game, because it brings back almost every mechanic from that game. At the end of the level, you will reach Mufasa, and I think here I should mention that the worst thing about this game is the long loading screens. If you are not a patient person, then don't play this game. Also, this game uses random clips from the movies to tell the story. Then it will show how many points and other things you have collected, and again it takes a long time. The second level is the elephant graveyard. You need to escape the hyenas, and you will start with a 2D section. The common enemies of this level are hyenas and vultures. This part contains a top and a bottom section, and if you want to complete the level, you need to explore both of them. You will see holes that lava would come out of them, and you should be careful when you jump over them. And hyenas from afar that would throw bones at you, so be careful when you cross their path. And moving platforms on lava. After a while, you will reach the second half of the level, which is in 3D. At the end of the level, you will have a boss fight encounter with Shenzi, Bonzai and Ed. And I am being nice by calling it a boss fight because they aren't different from regular enemies. Now we reach the horrifying part of the first movie as the third level. You need to run away, but unlike the first game, it is not an auto runner. It's still a traditional level, you just need to run towards the camera. Here, because you should be careful of the wild beasts, killing all the enemies, which are J-calls in this level, and collecting all the collectibles are a little bit of a challenge. If it takes too long to kill the J-calls, they will run away, so you would probably need to die to restart from the checkpoint. But that's not really a big concern, because if you die, you don't need to recollect the points. The biggest threats of this level are the boulders that can fall on you, because 2 or 3 of them are enough to kill you. Now Simba is an adult, but the gameplay isn't different. Nala is trying to hunt Pumbaa and you should save him, but the level is not on a time limit, so don't panic. Enemies of this level are monkeys that throw coconuts at you, and skunks, and hedgehogs that I think you can't jump on them, so you should roll instead. At the middle of the level, some boulders will fall down, be careful with them. And then there are some weird plants that you can use as a spring. At the end of the level, you will see Nala and Pumbaa. Now the final battle with Scar and the end of the first half of the game. And I don't have anything new to say because it's more of the same thing, except for the fight with Scar at the end of it. And again, the bosses of this game aren't that much different from regular enemies. Just sometimes you can't hit them and you should wait and dodge some boulders and logs to be able to fight them again. And some trash talking here and there. The funny thing is that the pouncing was actually useful for me in this fight. Now we reach the second half of the game and it has already time skipped to the adult Kiara parts of the movie. Simba has realized Kiara is around the fire, so now he is trying to rescue Kiara. Something that you wouldn't know if you skip all the cutscenes. In that case, you would think that you are saving Kiara right after defeating Scar, and this level is just 2D. The enemies are zebras and gazelles. They are more of an obstacle than an enemy, but you still need to kill them to get the points. You need to do some dangerous jumps to get all the points in this level. There are also some logs that you should dodge, but the most dangerous thing in this level are rhinos that you should jump on their back. But be careful not to touch their horns because they can instantly kill you. In this game, Simba is even more of a stalker. As you can see, Simba was there during the rhino chase moment. And this level is just like the Stampede level. And now the ambush scene. And this one is also in 2D. And now the final level. The section that Kiara and Zero fall down is a full level here. This level is the best level if you ask me because it is a challenge in comparison to the other levels. There are 2 roads in this level and you need to explore both of them to collect everything. Also in this level, you can build the momentum and keep a flow. For a few moments, this game feels like something like Crash 3 and it made me realize if this game was not rushed, it could become a really fun game. This game had the potential to be something great, but it wasn't developed enough to reach that potential. At the end of the level, you will fight Zero, and it's similar to the Scar boss fight. During the end credits, you can hear a music that you could also hear in the menus, and this one is a great music if you ask me. This game made original soundtrack instead of using cheap tune version of the movie's soundtrack, so you could expect mediocre music. And yeah, the music you hear in the levels are not bad, but not anything special either. But this one, this single music is really good. By finishing the final level, you can unlock a puzzle game that made me realize I am even dumber than what I thought. At the Rafiki section, there is a minigame called bug catching. In it you play as Cub Simba. You can move his paw by going left and right and catch the bugs by pressing the cross button. You will lose by missing 3 bugs. There are 3 more mini games that you can buy with the fruits that you collected from the levels. Matching game is a matching game in which you play as Cub Kiara. Martial arts is a mini game in which you play as Rafiki. Hyenas are attacking him from different directions and you should press 1 or a combination of directional buttons and cross to attack the hyenas. Meerkat Bash is a variation of Whack-A-Mole. You play as Pumbaa and you can move him with the D-pad and press the cross button to sit on a meerkat. Do it while you are moving for a faster result. And here we are. So, is Simba's Mighty Adventure a bad game? Yes. But is it 3 out of 10 bad? No. It is more of a 6 out of 10 bad if you ask me. But here's the thing. To me, a 6 out of 10 game is a game that is bad by default. But to the right people, it can be an enjoyable experience. I agree that it is a bad game, but I would be lying to myself if I said I didn't enjoy it. And I think there are 3 reasons for that. First, the fact that I love the Lion King. Just being able to control a Lion King character is enjoyable for me. Second is me loving platformers. It's a genre that even a mediocre game in it is good enough in my eyes. And third is that I love the PS1. An ugly low poly model still has a charm to me. So I guess just like me, if you love, and I should emphasize that you should love, not just like, the Lion King, platformers, and PS1, then you should check this game out. But even if there is one of these 3 that you don't love, then you don't need to play this game. you could play Toy Story 2 on the PS1 instead. That game is fun for everyone. So yeah, I still love Simba's Mighty Adventure, but I know it is in fact a bad game. Not that bad, but it's still a bad game. I would love to see some sort of a remake or a Lion King game similar to it to fully realize its potential. Or at least have a Disney Pixar PS1 collection. That would be nice. I mean, everyone would just buy to play the Toy Story 2 game, but I think that's a good excuse to make them play the other Disney and Pixar games on the PS1 as well. In comparison to the PS1 version, this game is much more similar to the OG game. You have one button for jump, one button for claw attack, and one button for roll. You can grab the edges of the platforms. While moving, you can push the down button to roll. And there also is a roll meter. It is almost one-to-one with the 16-bit game, except we have the claw attack from the start of the game. And your health bar is much longer, so you can take quite the beating before dying. No for-hit death nonsense. And there is no need to roar in this game. And also, it's more explore-based than the other games. And repeat with me, we start the game at the beautiful savannah of Pridelands. But this time, it's after the Everything Delight touches scene. It is where Simba pounces on Zazu, but this time you should help Simba to find Zazu and pounce on the poor guy. There are stars that you can collect. 100 of them give you an extra life. In the PS1 version, you had 5 words to collect to form the name Simba, but here, instead you should find 5 puzzle pieces that will shape the painting of Simba. You can find bugs to fill your health bar, and Simba heads to get an extra life. The enemies of this level are bugs, chameleons, and snakes, and they can all be dealt with in the same way. You either jump on them, or attack them with your claws, or roll down to kill them. At the end, you will find Zazu. You should stay at the down left corner and don't move. Wait for Zazu to finish his flying and land on the floor, and then jump on him. Do it 3 times and the level is over. There are 4 mini-games in this game, and by collecting all the puzzle pieces of a level, you can play one of them. The first one is called Catch the Worms, and you play as Timon in it. You should grab worms from the holes and put them in a tree. Each time you lose a worm or Pumbaa eats them, you lose a point. Lose 10 points and the minigame is over. Each worm gives you a star. And here I realized they had very young kids in their mind while making this game. It's really easy. This game actually has a level for the Can't Wait to Be King scene, and I have already ran out of important things to say. Enemies of this level are monkeys that throw rocks at you, and also frogs that can shoot at you, and piranha fishes that come out of the water sometimes, and also crocodiles that you can use as a platform when their mouth is shut. Another minigame in which you play as Timon. This time you are playing tennis against Pumbaa. You can go left and right and use a button to serve and hit the ball. Each time you hit a ball you get a star, and by losing 3 balls you will lose the minigame. Now the elephant graveyard scene. The enemies are hyenas and vultures and scorpions, and there are holes that lava comes out of them. The only minigame in which you play as Pumbaa. It's similar to the 16-bit game. Timon drops bugs and you can move left and right to eat the bugs, and you will lose the minigame by missing 3 bugs. Just like the first game, this level is an auto-runner. I think here you are playing as Mufasa with Simba on his back, which is a cute move, I like it. Another minigame from the 16-bit game. You play as Timon. You can move and jump, and you should collect yellow bugs and avoid red bugs. Now we reach the adult Simba section, and just like the PS1 version, the gameplay didn't change. The new enemies here are Jackals, and they are one of the few enemies that take more than 1 hit to die. And they are fast, be careful with them. At the end of the level, you will fight a cheetah as a boss fight. And the boss fights are the only thing wrong with this game. You should just rapidly mash the claw attack button. Now the final battle with Scar. In this level there is a possibility to get lost, but exploring a little bit will solve the problem. Here, the cheetah is a regular enemy that you can kill by 2 claw attacks. When you reach Scar, you should push him with the claw attack until he falls down. This game actually has one level for the Cub Kiara section. In this game, you should save Kiara from the crocodiles as Simba, and this level is similar to the Stampede level. Now adult Kiara sections. Just like the PS1 version, you are trying to save Kiara as Simba. Enemies of this level are lionesses, and they are the strongest enemies because they take 3 hits to die. There are also boulders that can fall on you, so be careful. And now the final battle. In the background you can see the Pridelanders and the Outlanders fighting each other. At the end you will fight Zero, and again just rapidly mash the slash button to win. At the end you will see a cool one shot of Simba. I love the way his face is covered in shadow. Then you will see the end credits. So what do I think about this game? It's good, not something that you should go out of your way to play it, but if you have the opportunity, then play it. In comparison to the other Lion King games, it is better than the Game Boy version of the first game, and it definitely is better than the GameGear version. But against the 16-bit game, well, I have to say both versions of Simba's Mighty Adventure are much easier than that game, so they are a better starting point. But with the save states and the rewind back function of the collection, the 16-bit game is much better than these games. That game is something that all retro gamers should play, and this game is something that you should play if you have already played that game and you are hungry for more. But the final question, which version of Simba's Mighty Adventure is better? I think objectively the Game Boy Color version is better because it is polished and looks good by Game Boy Color standards. But subjectively, the PS1 version is more interesting to me. Despite its ugliness, that game can be a chill and relaxing experience. The 16-bit game and the PS1 game are kind of sides of a coin. The 16-bit game is a challenging game that you will enjoy by the sense of accomplishment it gives you after the end of each level. But the PS1 game is something easy that, I don't know, at 11 PM you play it before you go to bed. At that time you are probably tired and want something easy so that you would forget the real life for a short while, so that you could have a mental rest. But this game is kind of more of the same, which is not a bad thing, but if I did the top 10 Lion King projects, this game would not make it in the list. So this game is a good game, but nothing special. Play it if you are interested, but I think the 16-bit game or the PS1 game would be a more unique experience. This one is a flash/browser game on the now defunct Toon Disney website. It has 3 difficulty settings: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And it is a breakout clone. You are playing as Timon and you use the mouse to make him move. There is a picture of a bug on every single brick. Breaking every brick gives 1 point. From some of the bricks, bugs will fall down when they break. And collecting those falling bugs will give you 10 points. Breaking the bricks will slowly reveal a promotional image for the Timon and Pumbaa show. It's a Tony Hawk Pro Skater clone. The main target of this game is kids, so that means it's simplified in comparison to Tony Hawk. It has characters and sages from Toy Story, Tarzan, and The Lion King. Timon has to look out for the colony, so we need to help him reach his post. We can go left and right with the D-pad. We can see the tunnel that Timon has destroyed. You can jump with the A button. There are bugs to collect, 40 of them in each level. For finishing each level, you just need to reach the end of the level. But again, if you are an adult, I suggest you to collect all the bugs to complete the game, so that it wouldn't be boring. There are vines that you can climb, and there are coconuts with a heart on them that you can collect to refill your health. At first, you can be killed by only 3 hits, so be careful. Also, this game is the most exploration-based Lion King game up until now. You can hold the down button while moving to crawl. You can use the B button to dig. You can hold down and then push the B button to dig beneath yourself. If you collect all the bugs, at the end of the level you will get a puzzle piece. Now the hyenas attack the colony. You can jump on the head of the hyenas to use them as a spring. But Timon cannot damage them and you can only knock them out for a very short time. There are also hedgehogs with blue quills that Timon cannot jump on them, so you should jump over them. There are some special bugs that you can collect and it allows you to take 1 more hit. If you press the R button, Timon will dance and that will distract the hyenas for a while, so you can pass them by. There is a power up that when you collect, you can push the L button and it will work as a screen nuke. Now you play as Pumbaa, and at the beginning of this level, something interesting happens. In the movie, we saw Timon's point of view, but in the game, we see Pumbaa's point of view. Pumbaa is sad because he is alone. Rafiki tells him that he saw a meerkat who is also alone. So Pumbaa follows Timon. Yes, Timon and Pumbaa meeting each other was not an accident. Rafiki is the one who was pulling the strings this whole time. The animated movie trilogy would happen completely differently if he was not doing all sorts of stuff in the background. Pumbaa can also jump with the A button. There are some branches that you can use as a spring. With the R button, Pumbaa will charge forward and you can break some walls with it. Pumbaa can also push rocks. In the next level, we are still following Timon as Pumbaa. By pushing the B button, Pumbaa will burp and it works as a projectile attack. Pumbaa can also charge at the hyenas to kill them, but he should burp at them to make them vulnerable before that. Later, you can collect a remote control that can stop time for a while, but I never used it. If you collect all pieces of a puzzle, you can unlock a bonus level that can increase the maximum health. The first one is for Timon. The bonus levels are on a time limit, but you can collect clocks to increase your remaining time. A funny thing that happened to me here is that just like 1 frame before I ran out of time, I collected the thing that upgraded Timon's health. So it restarted the level, but there was no need for playing the level again because I had already gotten what I came for. There are 4 gameplay styles in this game. 1 for Timon, 1 for Pumbaa, 1 for Timon and Pumbaa, and 1 on the run style, which is this level. Pumbaa is running with Timon on his back. You can hold right to run faster or hold left to run slower, and jump with the A button. Also, while running faster, you can also attack the enemies. Now, we reach the main type of the levels, the Timon and Pumbaa levels. Their controls are the same as their solo levels. You can use the select button to switch the characters. And you can see the nature of this game. It is a puzzle platformer. Pumbaa can burp at the hedgehogs to kill them. Timon can also jump on Pumbaa's back to use him as a spring. Be careful and search everywhere before going to the next section, or else you have to restart the level if you want to complete it. This is the Can't Wait to Be King section. from Timon and Pumbaa's point of view. There are some green birds that if you reach them, they will make a loud sound and it will break the walls that Pumbaa cannot reach. There are also monkeys with projectile attacks. Another on-the-run level, and I have already ran out of important things to say. Another bonus level. This one is for Pumbaa to increase his maximum health. Now the elephant graveyard. There are boulders that can fall down, and just like the other Lion King games, they are dangerous, so be careful with them. You can find bugs that can upgrade Pumbaa's burp. Another on-the-run level. In the next level, there are holes that lava comes out of them. You can also find an upgrade for Timon's dance that can distract the hyenas for a longer time. There are yellow hyenas that can summon more hyenas. Yet another on-the-run level. And here is where the game gets time consuming. If you just want to reach the end, this is an easy game that you can finish in an hour or two. But if you want to complete it, from now on this won't be an easy game. Not a hard game, but not an easy game either. There are vultures that work as a moving platform for Timon, but Pumbaa is too heavy for them, so to him they are falling platforms. And here is where the on-the-run levels also get difficult, because these levels are auto-scrollers, so you can't just go back and explore properly to catch all the bugs. I lost count of the many times I restarted these levels. You can increase the health of Timon and Pumbaa individually, but that won't upgrade the shared health bar that they have in the on-the-run levels. There is a bonus level to increase that, which is also an auto-scroller. Now Timon and Pumbaa are at their dream home. Even more auto-scroller levels. At the end of this one, you will find Simba. A Pumbaa only level. He is playing hide and seek with Simba. Another on-the-run level. This time you are running away from Nala. Another bonus level that can make Timon take 5 hits. This is where Timon and Pumbaa get separated. So again, a Pumbaa only level. Now a Timon only level, in which you can upgrade Timon's dance even more. An auto runner, in which Timon and Pumbaa are approaching Pridelands. Then an auto runner that is a nightmare. I had to replay it many times to complete it. And now one of, if not the hardest level to complete, as it should be because it's the final traditional level. Now this is where we see Timon's bravery, so it means a Timon only level. And now the final level, which is an auto runner, and this one is also a miserable experience because it's so hard to find all the bugs. At the end, a Pumbaa bonus level to make Pumbaa take 5 hits, to make replaying the game easier, I guess. So, what do I think about this game? I think I finally found a Lion King project that can be considered a hidden gem. Everyone say how awesome the Genesis/SNES Lion King game is, but barely anyone talks about this game. Nostalgia makes me love the PS1 game more, but if I remove the nostalgia, then this GBA game is definitely better. The characters look fine, but Pumbaa looks amazing. It's one of those rare situations that doing a fake 3D works on GBA. But if we look at the environment of the game, It is not the best looking GBA game, but it's fine because the level design is great. But don't play it in one sitting if you want to complete the game. If you want to finish it, yeah, do it in one sitting because it's, I guess, a work of an hour. But if you want to complete it, then it will take a much longer time. For me, it surprisingly took 7 hours because this game is a puzzle platformer and it's a very slow paced game. So I guess again, if you do not have the patience, don't play it. But if you are a patient person, then yeah, give this one a shot. I recommend you to play it in like 2 or 3 sittings. This game has 25 levels. When you compare it to the previous games that I have talked about, that's really impressive. And I think this one, if you want to complete it, it's the most fair game, I guess. You know, the Genesis/SNES version is a little bit too hard. The PS1 and the Game Boy Color version are a little bit too easy. But I think this one is right there in the middle. It's challenging enough so that the game wouldn't be boring. But it's also easy enough that you won't say when will this game end. On a DVD release of The Lion King called The Lion King Platinum Edition, a lot of extra features exist. A lot of behind the scenes stuff and interactivity added. There are some mini games in it, but I think the big one is called Timon and Pumbaa's Virtual Safari. It's kinda like an interactive movie. At first, Timon and Pumbaa are in a car and you choose where they should go. And all of the choices lead to shenanigans. Then they are on a boat and again funny things happen to them.
Check in with Max to find out what's new at Toon.
Awesome. Are you ready?
Hey gamers, ToonDisney.com has a brand new game. It's Timon Pumbaa's Grub Grab. So ask your parents and then see how many grubs you can grab. Right here at Toon.
I think this is the only Lion King Flash game that is not a lost media. For one of them I found a gameplay of it, and for the other one I could just find a commercial for it. But this one is preserved in some websites, so I could play it for myself. And I am glad that this one is the one that is preserved because it looks much more fun than the other two. Although in a perfect world, no game would be lost to time. This game is some sort of a Frogger clone. You use the directional buttons to move. You should go from platform to platform in order to reach the end. And avoid the enemies, which are spiders, scorpions, snakes, and rhinos. There are friendly animals as well. For example, hippos and elephants that can be used as a platform. There are also bugs to collect that give extra points. You have 5 lives. If you collide with an enemy, you will lose a life. And if you lose all of your lives, then you should start from the beginning. I didn't finish the game because it has more than a few levels, but finishing it does not seem to be an impossible task. The Platinum Edition treatment was given to the other Lion King movies as well. The Lion King 1.5 also has extra features. And again, one of, if not the most important extra feature of it, is the Timon and Pumbaa Virtual Safari game, which becomes a tradition in these special edition versions. And again, it's a collection of shenanigans, but because this is related to the Lion King 1.5, this time Timon's mother and Uncle Max joined the ride as well. And finally we reached the final Lion King game exclusive to old PCs. And you could say this one is the most ambitious one. It is again just a minigame collection, but this time it has an actual story and it utilizes more than a little bit of 3D graphics. This game happens just a little bit after Simba becomes a king, so it could have happened even before the final scene of the first movie. As you know, during Scar's reign, all the animals except for lions and hyenas left the Pridelands. So now that Simba is the king and the Pridelands is slowly returning back to its glory days, it is time for the animals of the Pridelands to come back. So Simba asks Timon and Pumbaa with telling this good news to the animals. They have to explore the lands around the Pridelands to find them and convince them to come back. Timon and Pumbaa meet an old rhino who, thanks to a little bird, knows where the other animals are. The first animal I chose to bring back was the hippo. Before you go to an animal, you should answer a few questions about that animal. I reached a hippo, but she couldn't find the other hippo, so Timon and Pumbaa should help her find the other hippo. This minigame is a weird shoot 'em up. They are in the river and swimming underwater. Timon uses his burps as a projectile and Pumbaa uses his farts. You should avoid the fishes and the projectiles and reach the end of the levels to find the other hippo. Then I tried to bring back the elephants. Timon and Pumbaa find a young elephant, but he is too ignorant and he won't come back. So Pumbaa challenges the elephant to a wrestling match, I think. This is how the minigame works. Pumbaa is in a white circle. If you move the mouse to the left, slightly outside of the circle, Pumbaa will move forward. There are a few shapes around the white circle, and clicking on each of them will do a variation of an attack or defense. But for my case, I just spammed the shape on the left of the circle and I won. Then I tried to bring back the snakes. Timon and Pumbaa reach a snake, but he is too hungry to move. He asks Timon to feed him some fruits, so the minigame starts. This is some sort of a basketball minigame, and I am still not sure about how exactly it works. And because of that, this minigame took a long time for me. There is a limited count of fruits, so be careful if you don't want to repeat the minigame. I think you should click on Timon to start the round. Then you should click on a place that the game tells you, and then I think you should click on the snake's mouth. But I am still unsure about it because it seemed random to me if I succeeded or not. And that combined with the fact that my mouse kept freaking out made this minigame a miserable experience. I think the mouse wasn't fully compatible with the virtual machine or the game. Also, I was playing the game in hard mode because I underestimated the game. I don't know how easier is the easy mode, but choose easy mode because even if it's just a little bit easier, it's still a better experience if you ask me. Also, I think this snake is the worst Lion King character. If you ask me before playing this game, I would probably say the worst Lion King characters are Tifo and Zuri from the Lion Guard, or that ungrateful zebra that no matter how many times Bongo saved her life, she was still a jerk to him. But now I know that this snake is the worst. I just kept feeding the guy and he just refused to move at all. Then I tried to bring back the frogs. A female frog is in a termite hill. I can't remember if she's hiding in there or if she's stuck in there. But whatever it is, we should help Timon and Pumbaa help her. Termites will come out and you should slowly drag and drop them to Pumbaa's mouth. When you captured all the termites, the frog can come out. Then Pumbaa lets go of the termites. Then I tried to bring back a chameleon, but I couldn't because I had to collect some flowers. On some levels, there are some flowers that you should click on them to collect them. Then I tried to bring back a baby crocodile. A family of crocodiles from outside of Pridelands adopted a Pridelander crocodile. But now that we can bring it back, the parents can't remember which crocodile is the adopted one. So it's our job now apparently. But first we should do a mini game, and this time it's a slightly more complicated version of a Simon Says game. Then we reach the next mini game to realize which baby crocodile is adopted. The parents make some sounds and the babies try to repeat it. We should click on the one that does it correctly. After that, we should click on the baby crocodile that do the same move. Then we should hover the mouse on them to see which one jumps the highest and jumps the most. Then we should click on the baby crocodile that moves. Then at the end, we should choose the baby crocodile who made the most mistake during the first round and repeated the same moves as its siblings the most and jumped the least and the lowest and moved the most at the last round. If you make a mistake, you should do the whole minigame again. It was difficult to me, but I don't know if my brain just stopped working or the game wasn't working correctly. Then I came back to the chameleon and he looks weird. He does not look like a Lion King character at all. First, it is a dressing minigame. Then Pumbaa is in the water and we should use the cursor to make Pumbaa move and collect some stuff. Then again, it becomes a dressing minigame. And then it's a finding minigame. The chameleon is dancing and shapes would appear above him. There are bubbles coming up and we have to pop the bubbles with the same shapes that are above him in the correct order so that Timon would repeat the same moves. Then the final level unlocks so that we can bring back a spider. First, we need to put fireflies into Pumbaa's mouth. We should rapidly click on them to make them go asleep and then drag and drop them into Pumbaa's mouth. Then Timon and Pumbaa go to the spider. She is asleep and we should get rid of her food so that she has no choice but to return to Pridelands. We should drag and drop the fireflies from Pumbaa's mouth on the fireflies that are trapped in the webbing. Then rapidly click on them to free them. But be careful to not wake up the spider during it. Then at the end, the spider will be convinced to come back. At the end, all the animals celebrate while coming back to Pridelands, and Simba watches them from afar, and we see a cool one-shot of him. At the end, you will unlock a few more optional minigames. You know what? Even though I don't think that you should go out of your way to, I don't know, install an old operating system on a virtual machine or, I don't know, find an old PC to play these games. But I do not regret it, you know. I think if you are just as big of a Lion King fan as me, you should do this as well. But if you are not that much of a fan of the Lion King, then no, it's not worth it really. But again, it was a charming experience for me, you know. And that combined with the fact that after many years I used Windows XP again, you know, that's nostalgic to me, you know. I played that pinball game that is packed in with some versions of Windows XP, so that one was also nostalgic. And yes, that's it. This one is also an edutainment game, but this one is good enough actually. And by that I mean I can call it a video game. It plays like a platformer. The main mode of this game is called Learning Adventure. In the first level, the narrator asks Simba to pick flowers of a certain color, and we must help him jump at those flowers. Then we should do the same thing with birds. Then we must choose the smallest or largest version of a shape. In the next level, Simba is playing hide and seek with his friends, so we should help him find the hidden animals. Then it's some sort of a matching minigame. We should take baby animals to their parents. In the next level, Simba wandered too much and ended up in a jungle far from Pridelands. This level is 3D. Sometimes we should collect a certain amount of logs to build a bridge for Simba. Then we should catch a certain bug. In the final level, Simba should go back to Pride Rock. This level is a regular platformer. Just sometimes you should push rocks or jump on a specific platform. At the end of the level, it's celebration time. You can go left and right and jump in joy. Then you will unlock a level select and extra minigames. In one minigame, we should put leaves of the same color in the same spots. The next minigame is a puzzle game. And the next minigame is a finding game. You should find a certain count of a certain animals. And in the last minigame, you should collect bugs as Pumbaa. While trying to research this one, I found a preserved version of a website that advertised the Lion King 2 Special Edition DVD. Apparently the other two movies had a website like this as well, but I couldn't find them. It tells what this special DVD has, and it has some activities. Like two minigames. One is a Frogger game, and the other one is a minigame from the Game Boy Color version of Simba's Mighty Adventure. It isn't anything special, but it's depressing how much lost media or partial lost media exists. For the Lion King it isn't that much, but there are lots of franchises with lots of lost media. By the way, the DVD itself again has some extra features and activities, but the biggest one is Virtual Safari 2.0. Again, it's a bunch of shenanigans that happen to Timon and Pumbaa, but this time they are riding an elephant and the slapstick is dialed up to 11. This one is a TV plug and play game, and in two of them you play as Lion King character. One of them is called Timon To The Rescue, in which Pumbaa is sleepwalking and you as Timon should make a bridge for him so that Pumbaa won't fall into water. The other game is called Simba and the Tree of Trials. This one is a puzzle game similar to the likes of Tetris and Puyo Puyo. I am not a fan of Kingdom Hearts or RPGs in general, so I didn't play the game for myself for this video, but I watched its cutscenes on YouTube and it has some interesting stuff that I have to talk about. First, I like how the Lion King section of this game is like its own movie or game. Seriously, why didn't we have a Lion King platformer on PS2 that looks like this? I like how this section starts with Simba's nightmare, which is a flashback. It shows how traumatized he is. Then it shows Sora in the elephant graveyard. I love his lion design. In other words, he may change an outfit or change his design a little bit, but here he is 100% a Lion King character. I could totally see a character like this in the franchise. I love how he uses his mouth and tail to build his sword because he's walking on all four of his limbs now. Like seriously, why didn't anyone at Disney try to use more of these interesting ideas? I could imagine a version of Sora exclusive to the Lion King. He could be this young adventurer lion who travels around the world to learn magic and make friends and see more of the world. Imagine this guy with Kion. Whether they would fight against each other or next to each other, it would be glorious. I also like how they gave magical powers to Simba as well. I like how he spin dashes, and I love how in this franchise, in his summon form he has red fur and white mane. It's really cool. But I can't say that for the others. Donald is fine, but Goofy looks really weird. They also come up with good enough excuses so that Sora would be unable to mess around too much with the timeline. Nala thinks Sora can dethrone Scar, but Rafiki said that it was not enough and they would need a new king, so Sora can't challenge Scar. Also now you can add attempt of cannibalism to the list of Scar's crime. Nala attacks Scar so that Sora and friends could run away, and now also Nala has a reason to run away. Also apparently Simba met Sora before this game, but I think it wasn't from Kingdom Hearts 1. If there is any Kingdom Hearts fan here, please tell me when did they meet for the first time. Sarabi isn't in this version of the Lion King, so Scar meeting adult Simba doesn't hit that hard. Well, the entire scene doesn't hit as hard, but that's a nitpick. If I want Lion King, I will watch Lion King. This is Kingdom Hearts. I shouldn't expect it to recreate like 5 movies one-to-one in a game. It's for roaming around in the Disney cartoons and maybe add a few things here and there, and also its own stuff. You are expected to watch the movies before playing this game. It's not meant to replace, it's meant to add. I like how Sora dealt with the hyenas and helped Timon and Pumbaa, but he didn't help Simba at first because it's Simba's fight, not Sora's. Only when Scar started to use magic and Kingdom Hearts material, Sora helped Simba. So don't say that this game ruined the Lion King because Simba had already won the battle and it's just an extra round for gameplay reason. Also, this is one of the Lion King adaptations in which Scar and the hyenas didn't betray each other. There was this and the Broadway show and the Realm of the Pridelands, and maybe there is one more, I don't know. So if some of this stuff got a sequel, it could go very differently. Imagine if they turned Lion King 2 into a Broadway show, or I don't know, in Kingdom Hearts 4 we got a section related to the Lion King 2 or the Lion Guardian. All of this would be dream situations for me. If the Outlanders and the hyenas joined forces, then the Pridelanders would be in a harder situation. By the way, the most interesting thing of the Lion King in Kingdom Hearts is not the adaptation, but it's the aftermath. It has some really interesting ideas that made me realize we really needed a Lion King TV series that is not a spin-off like the Timon and Pumbaa show or the Lion King. I mean a series directed towards Simba. The events between Lion King 1 and 2 are begging to be told. Or the time that Scar was a king, that one would also make a good TV show. I like how it shows that after defeating Scar, Simba really struggled in his early days of being a king. It makes much more sense than just becoming a king, and bam, Pridelands is green again. After Scar was gone, Pridelands was still a dead place, and Simba needed the help of his friends and family to find himself and slowly rebuild the Pridelands. I also like how Scar's ghost is around, and even after death, he manages to hunt down Simba and the Pridelands, which could have inspired the Lion Guard and Disney Mirrorverse. And again, if somehow we got a Lion King 2 adaptation in Kingdom Hearts, imagine Scar's ghost helping the Outlanders. Zero's dynamic with her children would probably be different if Scar was still kinda around, and Scar would probably come up with more menacing plans. Maybe we could finally see what Scar thinks of his own children. I am still salty that the Lion Guard didn't do something like this. The Lion King 2 tried to do something, but here it was done better. Simba was trying to be Mufasa, but he has to learn to be himself. Both Lion King 2 and Kingdom Hearts 2 didn't do it perfect, and again in a TV or a streaming service show these ideas could be done even better. Also, Nala is expecting Simba's child now. After running away because of his fears, Simba learns to believe in himself and be a great king in his own way, and returns to Pridelands to save his kingdom. Okay, I think that's enough rambling from me. Let's move on to the next game. This is all we know about this game. There is no gameplay of it on the internet, there is no ROMs of it. I couldn't find a place to see if you can buy this game or anything really. This game I think is lost media. You know, if by some miracle you have this game, you know, upload a gameplay or something of it on the internet. This one is a virtual pet game that includes some Disney characters. Cub Simba is one of the pets. You can pet him, talk to him, feed him, dress him up, find bugs for him, and play games like whack-a-mole and hide and seek with him. And do other virtual pet stuff. This game is not anything special, but it can be a charming experience. I think this type of games have their audience and they would enjoy it. But I think kids would really love it. I am no virtual pet expert, but if I think it's a good enough DS game, then they would probably enjoy it as well. So if you have a DS around and you can find this game for cheap, then yeah, you can let your children or young siblings enjoy it for at least a short while. This one is a light platformer similar to Sackboy, with a very basic combat system and a little bit of puzzle solving. You are not playing as any Disney character, but you are playing as an avatar that can wear costumes of Disney characters. For Lion King, they have Pridelands as a level, and you can wear the costume of Simba, Timon, Pumbaa, Rafiki, and Scar. This one is a 2D platformer and a spin-off to the Epic Mickey duology, and it's also some sort of a sequel to a Sega Genesis Mickey Mouse game. It's kinda a Metroidvania. You are in a big castle and each room is kinda dedicated to a Disney character. So there is a room that belongs to Simba and it looks like Pridelands, and Timon, Pumbaa and Zazu are also in it. You know, in this game you are rescuing Disney characters, and you know, each Lion King character that you rescue would show up on Simba's room. This one is a simulation game. You can create attractions based on Disney cartoons and you can do quests for Disney characters. That includes Lion King characters as well. You should help Simba, Nala, Timon, Pumbaa, Rafiki and Zazu to defeat Scar. When Scar is defeated, he is banished. Later he will be welcomed back to the game because that's what heroes do. Always forgiving and giving another chance and being stupidly optimistic. Scar of course has plans of backstabbing, but for the while he will agree to lay low and don't make trouble for anyone and just mind his own business. So Scar is unlocked now. This one is one of the best mobile games of all time. It's very simple, but it's its simplicity that makes it beautiful. There was a game called Crossy Road, which was a very good Frogger clone, and if you ask me, it is the best Frogger game. And I think some Disney executives liked it as well, because after a while, a Disney version of it was released. The game was already really good, but now that lovable characters are added to it, now it is a perfect mobile game. The gameplay is simple. You will go one tile forward by tapping the screen. If you want to go left and right or go backwards, then you should swipe to that direction. But I believe what makes this game really charming is its art style. It is a very low poly game. Imagine an 8-bit game but in 3D. And also the music of it is inspired by 8-bit soundtracks. You can play as many characters from many Disney and Pixar cartoons, which of course includes The Lion King. I don't have much to say about this game, but don't think that means this game is not good. If I did a ranking of the games that I reviewed in this video, this game would be in the top 10. Yeah. I believe this game is that good because I appreciate it for what it is, a simple mobile game for relaxation that is meant to be played in short bursts. Now we reach the most depressing part of the video, because it includes cancellation, lost media, partial lost media, lack of documentation, and wasted potentials. First, a trilogy of mobile games that I consider the main Lion Guard games. The Lion Guard or the Lion Guard Assemble. It's a 2D autorunner. You play as Kion and you can take 5 hits to die. You should collect tokens to get points and lion emblems to fill your power meter. When it's full, you can be invincible for a short while. By tapping the screen, Kion jumps and you can double tap in order to double jump. There are hyenas that you should avoid or else you will take a hit. You will also meet Kion's friends on the way to invite them to the guard. And that's it. All the Lion Guard games have one thing in common, and that one thing is being brain dead. They were designed for 3-year-olds, so there isn't really anything for adults in these games. There are much better 2D autorunner games to play. Protectors of Pridelands. This one is a minigame collection. 5 minigames, which means 1 game per each character. In the Kion game, you control where he goes with your finger. You should rescue the trapped animals and avoid the obstacles. The Fully minigame is a 2D autorunner. Sometimes you should tap the screen to jump and avoid the obstacles. In the Beshti minigame, you should make a safe way for the animals to cross the river. In the Bonga minigame, you should tap on platforms to jump on them, but be careful where you jump on. And in the Ono minigame, you control where he flies with your finger. You should find the rest of the guard and avoid the obstacles. The Lion Guard To The Rescue. This one disappointed me the most because I saw potential in this one. When I was playing the first level, I kinda enjoyed it. So I expected the next levels would be better, but all the levels are literally the same. It's just one level that repeats itself. You play as Kion, and you can make him go to 4 directions by tapping the screen. There are lion head tokens to fill your magic and lion paw tokens to fill your health. You can take 3 hits. When your magic is full, Kion can roar to scare off the hyenas. In some sections, you can summon the rest of the guards to rescue animals. Then there are the games that you could play through the Disney Junior Play app. But now that the app is down, you can't play them anymore. First, there is the Descent to Defend pack, including 4 games. Grub Grab, that is a minigame that I have played to death at this point because it's in more than a few Lion King games. Then Cave Painting, in which you should scratch the wall to uncover the paintings. Then Prideland Prodi, which is a Simon Says game. And finally, Animal Rescue, which is a jigsaw puzzle game. After playing each minigame, you will unlock stickers for a sticker book. Then is the Rough, Tough and Ready pack with another 4 games called Baobab Ball, On Your Mark, Pounce Practice, and Prideland Protector. I couldn't find footage of them, but they are probably similar to the previous pack. Then there are 4 games that I could just find one low quality picture for each of them. Their platform is seemingly Windows, but it seemingly also uses motion sensors. So I assume they are just a bunch of tech demos that very few people played them in a convention or something. I think in all 4 of them you play as Kion, but you should do something for one of the other guard members. So 4 games called Banga's Bounding Bravery Challenge, Ono's Eye of the Guard Sight Challenge, Beshti's Log Bashing Strength Challenge, and Fuli's Super Sprint Speed Challenge. And then the 3 remaining games. There's VTech The Lion Guard, that I couldn't find any ROMs or videos about it. I could get a physical version of it, but then I would have to get a V-Smile as well, and I don't have the space for it, and I won't buy an obscured console to just play 1 or 2 games and then not touch it at all for just a single YouTube video. If you have this game, upload a gameplay of it on YouTube so that other people could see it. But I have seen but Simba's Big Adventure is on V-Smile, and I assume this game is similar to that. But also note that it could be a series of games and not just one single game, but I am not sure about it. Then there's The Lion Guard Save the Day, which is a cancelled game, so at the moment there is no footage of it on the internet. And finally the Lion Guard Pop, and every single franchise that has touched mobile gaming has a matching game like this. I don't know what more to say. And that's it. As you can see, in the world of gaming, the Lion Guard part of the Lion King franchise got the short end of the stick. Mostly mobile games for 3-year-olds, and half of them are lost. There isn't anything special to see in the Lion Guard video games, and that's depressing. The Lion Guard had the potential to have a great game, or even multiple great games. It deserved to have a console game. For example, a AAA 3D action platformer. Considering Season 3, Kion has a variety of powers that can make him fun to play. Just imagine how we could use his powers for combat and puzzle solving. We could also play as the other guard members. There could be parts that would be exclusive to only one character because of their unique abilities. It could lead to teamwork or even a co-op experience in which at the same time players could use their specific powers to finish a challenge as a team. Or I don't know, you could make a Metroidvania or even an open world game. There are lots of ways to make a really good Lion Guard game, but unfortunately most licensed games nowadays are cheap mobile games, and that breaks my heart. It's a dress-up mobile game with Disney characters in it, including Simba, Nala, Timon, and Pumbaa. This one is a Bejeweled clone. Every franchise or company under the sun has one game like this at this point. If, like me, you like mobile games as well, then play it. But I think Candy Crush is much better. This one is a game that you could play on the Disney Junior Play app. It is a minigame collection that is a throwback to old arcade games, and it is designed for very young kids. In each minigame, you play as a Disney character, and Kion from The Lion Guard is one of them. A mobile RPG featuring Disney characters, which of course includes the Lion King. We have Scar, Rafiki, Timon and Pumbaa as a 2-in-1 character, and also the cup versions of Simba and Nala as a 2-in-1 character as well. Another mobile RPG for Disney characters. The Lion King characters of this one at first was Simba, Rafiki and Scar, and later more characters were added. This one is a 3v3 arena brawler video game exclusive to Apple Arcade, featuring Disney and Pixar characters. At the moment, the only Lion King character in this game is Timon, and in some of his attacks, Pumbaa will assist him. And now the most interesting Disney mobile game. And I say that just because of the concept and not because of the gameplay. Because gameplay wise, it really isn't anything special. A mobile action RPG. There are more than a few similar games to this one. You can choose 3 Disney characters for each level. Each character has a light attack, and if you hold the attack button, then after releasing the button it will do a heavy attack instead. Each character also has a special attack that takes a time to recharge. And then there are the RPG elements, you know, upgrading characters and other stuff, each character having some special stats, some rock paper scissors stuff, elemental stuff, poisoning, preventing enemies from healing themselves or other. Each character having a class like support unit or tank or melee attacker or projectile attacker, having so many options to choose in the main menu that can confuse you, and other stuff. But as I said, the concept is what makes this game special. It apparently happens in a universe in which all the Disney movies coexist, but of course not one-to-one. This game really takes advantage of happening in its own universe, completely non-canon to the original universes. It takes a twist on each character that makes them 10 times cooler. This game is basically an official fanfiction, and that's why I love it. So let's take the franchise I am talking about for example. Look at Mirrorverse Simba. He is a Super Saiyan in this universe, and he has more personality according to his bio. He is a king, so he has his royalty side, but he also has his adventurous side, which is much better than just trying to be Mufasa 2.0. But the moment I unlocked Scar, I didn't play as anyone else. Scar was already a cool character, but now he is even cooler. I think after his death, he became a demon, a shadowy figure, and I mean that literally. He literally turns into a shadow on the floor for faster traveling. Or maybe that's a portal and he thinks he is Noob Saibot. He is the king of darkness now, the complete opposite of Mufasa. Everything the light touches is Simba's kingdom, but everything drowned in the darkness and shadows is Scar's kingdom now. He had everything a great villain needed, but now he also has cool superpowers. As a light attack, he attacks with his claws. In his heavy attack, the dark aura around him becomes a big jaw and he would bite his enemies. And for his special attack, he would go into his shadowy portal and then a giant claw would come out and do heavy damage to his enemy. All the character designs in this game is god tier. Just look at the characters. The game will probably become repetitive after a while, but it is meant to be played in short bursts. I mean, it's a mobile game, you know, you shouldn't really expect PC or console level of quality from it. So I have lower expectations in this one, and also you could say I'm a mobile game apologist. I kinda defend those games. Like, I mean, yeah, console games are better, but not every mobile game is garbage, you know. There are really some mobile games that I enjoy them as much as console games. Yeah, you know, there are a few Angry Birds games, there are a few Cut the Rope games that I still play sometimes and I still enjoy. And as I said before, Disney Crossy Road is also a really good mobile game. I know nowadays most of them are very greedy with lots of microtransactions, but again, that's not all that there is to mobile games. For Disney Mirrorverse, I didn't really have a case of annoying microtransactions, but I haven't played that game a lot, you know. I've just started playing this game for this review, but I'm going to continue playing this game. There is this and Disney Crossy Road, these two Disney mobile games. I'm going to play them even after this video. The rest of them, I don't think so. And also, some of them are already delisted, so you can't even play them if you wanted to. And yeah, that's it. It's a nice little mobile game if you ask me, and it's meant to be played in short bursts. But this concept should really be taken advantage of. This game is fine, again, not really a perfect game, but a good enough game. But it would be cool if we got a game with this concept for PC or console, you know. I don't mean just port this game to them, no, I mean make some AAA action RPG or a regular RPG or something, or a hack and slash thing like a warrior clone or something. These are some good concept and character designs, you know. I would like to have them on a grander scale, you know, a better story, a deeper combat system and other stuff. Or, you know, maybe an adaptation of it, you know, even a short cartoon or anime of it would be cool. You know, what I want to say is that these character designs are really cool, you know. I like watching them, I like to look at them for a long while. And yeah, I want more of this universe, you could say, or more of a universe with Disney characters that look like this. And yeah, I think I rambled enough. Let's finish the video. This one is a life simulation game in a world that Disney characters live. And I think it's an ambitious one. A life full of adventures, each of them happening in a Disney movie. But as you can see, I didn't play the game for myself, because I am not into this type of games. But if you are into life simulation games and Disney movies, then this seems to be a must play for you. Now, at the end of the video, it's time for me to rank every single game that I talked about. I think totally I talked about 62 video games, but there are a few games that I cannot rank. First is The Lion Guard Save the Day, which is a cancelled game, so why did I even bring it up? Then there are 10 games that I couldn't play for myself and I couldn't find footage of it, or maybe they are lost media. There's Hakuna Matata Adventure, We Take the Lion Guard, Baobab Ball, On Your Mark, Pounce Practice, Pridelands Protector, Beshti's Like Bashing Strength Challenge, Bongo's Bounding Bravery Challenge, Fully's Super Sprint Speed Challenge, and Ono's Eye of the God Side Challenge. Now with the unrankables out of the way, let's start the ranking. from worst to best, we are at the F tier. These are games that are garbage and you should stay away from them. At number 51, we have The Lion King Print Studio. This one, at the time that it was released, maybe it was useful, but nowadays it is not even a video game and it is not even useful. If you want to print stuff, you can do it much easier without any extra programs really. There's no need for this piece of program in modern days. At number 50, we have The Lion King on Tiger Electronics LCD. And at number 49, we have Timon and Pumbaa on Tiger Electronics LCD. These are both LCD games and they barely count as a video game. Then we have Cave Paintings at number 48, Animal Rescue at 47, Pridelands Parade at 46, and Grub Grab at 45. These are minigames that you could play on the Disney Junior Play app, and that app is for very young kids, like for 2-year-olds. And these games are baby mobile games, they are so brain dead that as an adult, there's no way you could lose these games. Then at number 44, we have Protectors of the Pridelands. And again, it's a baby mobile game. There's nothing special in it. At number 43, we have The Lion King on the GameGear and Master System. And even though I knew they were not going to be as good as the SNES or Genesis versions, they were still a miserable experience. Like, somehow this game manages to be boring and confusing at the same time, and that's an accomplishment about how bad this game is. Now we reach the E tier. These are bad games, but they are not garbage. Playing through them won't be a nightmare for you. At number 42, we have The Lion King animated storybook. It's in the name. It's an animated storybook. It's a storybook that you have more interactivity with it, but maybe at the time it was really interesting for kids, but nowadays it has nothing special in it. It has no replay value in it, and if you're an adult, then the only reason I could see you play this game is that if you are like me and you are a very big Lion King fanboy, but with the exception of that, there's no reason for you to play this game. At number 41, we have The Lion King Activity Center, and this one is similar to animated storybook, but there is more activity in it, so it's more of a game. At number 40, we have Simba's Pride Active Play, and again this one is similar to Activity Center, but I think it has a little bit more interactivity in it. It has more music in it, more animations in it, more voice acting in it, and it's about The Lion King 2. I like The Lion King 2. At number 39, we have Virtual Safari 1. This one is part of The Lion King Platinum Edition DVD, and yeah, The Lion King is one of the best movies of all time, but I am not ranking the movie on the disc. I am ranking the minigames that are on the disc, and the minigames aren't anything special, but because Timon and Pumbaa are in it and there are a few moments here and there, it is more charming than the ones below it. At number 38, we have Virtual Safari 1.5. This one's part of the Lion King 1.5 DVD, and because Timon's mother and Uncle Max are in it and it's slightly funnier, it's above Virtual Safari 1. And then we have Virtual Safari 2, which is again part of the Lion King 2 Special Edition DVD, and again this one's slightly funnier, so it's above the other Virtual Safari games. Then we reach the D tier. These are games that are below average, but I won't call them hands down bad games. At number 36, we have Disney's My Little Doll. It's a dress-up game on the mobile, and I obviously am not into dress-up games, but I'm sure young girls would enjoy it, so I won't call it bad. It will get the job done for its target audience, I guess. At number 35, we have The Lion Guard Assemble, and it's a meh mobile game. At number 34, we have The Lion Guard To The Rescue. This one is also a meh mobile game, but I think this one had the potential to be a good mobile game. At number 33, we have Disney Super Arcade. This one is also a game that you could play through the Disney Junior Play app, but this one is a little bit more charming. It has more mini games in it, and it's still brain dead, but it's slightly less brain dead than the other Disney Junior Play app games. And it makes references to old arcade games. That's cute. At number 32, we have Adventures in Typing with Timon and Pumbaa. This one was made to teach 10-finger typing to kids, so it won't be higher on the list and I won't replay it, but I did enjoy playing it for the first time, so it's higher on the D tier games. Now we reach the C tier games, which are games that are not good but are not bad either. They are right there in the middle. At number 31, we have Timon To The Rescue, and at number 30, we have Simba and the Tree of Trials. These two games are part of the same game. It's a plug and play TV minigame collection. And yeah, they are cute minigames. Nothing special but nothing bad either. At number 29, we have Bug Out Game. It's a flash game and it's a Breakout clone. And it does nothing to stand out, but at the end of the day, Breakout is fun, so it's right there in the middle. Then at number 28, we have Grub Grab, which is a Pac-Man clone. And again, just like Bug Out Game, it does not do anything to stand out, but Pac-Man is more fun than Breakout, so it's above Bug Out Game. At number 27, we have The Lion Guard Pub. And at number 26, we have Disney Emoji Blitz. And these are games that can entertain me for a few minutes, but a few minutes is not enough, is it? But Disney Emoji Blitz is above the Lion Guard Pop because I guess it looks slightly cuter, I guess. At number 25, we have Adventure at Pridelands. It's a Sega Pico game, and it's a good Sega Pico game, but at the end of the day, it's a edutainment console, so it can get really good, can it? At number 24, we have Simba's Big Adventure on the V-Smile, which is also an educational console, but this one tries its best. I can see that it was trying to be an actual game, and yeah, I can call it an actual game. Kids can really enjoy it, but of course, it's not worth buying a V-Smile really, is it? At number 23, we have Disney Mania. This one is an Apple Arcade exclusive that is a 3v3 brawler, and to me, it's the definitive definition of a mid game to me. It has nothing special really. It can get boring soon, but it's not a bad game either. At number 22, we have Disney Magic Kingdoms. This one is a simulation game on the mobile. So if you like Disney mobile games and simulation games, then I guess you can play it, but I am not into simulation games, so I consider it a mid game. At number 21, we have Disney Heroes Battle Mode, and this one is a mobile RPG. So if you are into Disney and mobile RPGs, I guess you could enjoy it. At number 20, we have Disney Sorcerer's Arena. This one is also a mobile RPG, but it looks more ambitious to me, so I put it above it. But I think both of them are delisted, so I'm not sure if you can play them for yourself or not. Now we reach the B tier. These are games that are above average, but I won't call them hands down good game either. At number 19, we have Operation Pridelands. It's a minigame collection. It annoyed me at some places, but overall it's a fine minigame collection. At number 18, we have Simba's Pride Game Brick, and this one is also a minigame collection, but it did not annoy me at all, and it's about the Lion King 2, so it's above Operation Pridelands. Then at number 17, we have the SNES version of Timon and Pumbaa's Jungle Games. This one is a good minigame collection, but the PC version is better. At number 16, we have the Lion King on the Game Boy. This one is a watered down version of the SNES and Genesis game, but the core of those games are fun enough, so even a downgraded version of it would be an above average game. As you can see, it's much higher than the GameGear version, because I said the GameGear version is not a watered down version of the Genesis and SNES version. It tries to be its own thing and it failed miserably at it. Now we reach the A tier. These are good games. Not great games in my opinion, but good games, so you won't regret playing them. At number 15, we have Disney Dreamlight Valley. This one is a life simulation game, but I am not into this type of games, but I can see that it is really trying, it is really doing the best it can, and if you like Disney and you like life simulation games, I think this would be a perfect game for you, but it's not a perfect game for me. Also, it's funny that you can become roommate with Scar in this one. Like, this game exists in a perfect fantasy world. You know, one of those childish universes that even the bad guys aren't that bad. That's cute. At number 14, we have Disney Friends, which is a virtual pet game. Again, if you like Disney and you like virtual pets, then it is perfect for you. But I'm not into virtual pet games, so just like Dreamlight Valley, they are not in the top 10, but it could be in your top 10. At number 13, we have Disney Universe. I have not played this game, but I have played Sackboy, and if it's anything like Sackboy, then it's a good game. It's a cute little platformer. I like platformers. At number 12, we have Epic Mickey Power of Illusion. Yeah, you know, this just like a few more games on this list. You could say these are not Lion King games, but you know, Lion King is part of it and it's a 2D platformer. Yeah, I like 2D platformers. At number 11, we have Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure. This one is a Tony Hawk Pro Skater clone, and if you saw that 20 seconds of footage of me playing it, you may have realized how bad I am at this type of games. I'm not into sports games or extreme sports games, so not really for me. But if you are into it, then yeah, this one would be a great game for you. At number 10, we have Kingdom Hearts 2. I think objectively this game should be on number 1, but I am not into RPGs, so because of that it won't go higher on the list. But the Lion King stuff that it does are really interesting, and I know how beloved this game is, so here it is at number 10. At number 9, we have Treacherous Trek, which is a flash game, but I think it's a really good flash game. I know it's weird that I put a flash game above Kingdom Hearts 2, but I said I'm not into RPGs, so RPG games would go lower for me. At number 8, we have Disney Mirrorverse, and this game is just a fine action RPG on mobile devices. But its concepts are so good that I can put it lower on the list. The cool stuff that it does with the Disney characters are really cool. I don't know what to say. I really like it. I want to see more of this idea, you know. It would be cool if we got an animated series based on Disney Mirrorverse. That would be cool. At number 7 is Disney Crossy Road. And I say it again that it's one of the best mobile games ever. It's really simple, but simple does not equal to bad all the time. You know, sometimes simple is beautiful. You know, you can relax with a simple game. And I think it should be installed on everyone's mobile, really. At number 6, we have Timon and Pumbaa's Jungle Games on PC. It's a good minigame collection. If you do not like minigame collections, then it would be much lower on the list for you. But I like minigames, so there it is. And it also has so much personality in it that I can't help but love it. At number 5, we have the Game Boy Color version of Simba's Mighty Adventure. It's a fine 2D platformer. If you like 2D platformers and you like Game Boy Color, then yeah, you should play it, but it is not anything special, but I like it. At number 4, we have The Lion King on the SNES, and you guys are probably raising an eyebrow right now, but the reason that this game is not S tier in my opinion is because the Genesis version is better. Now we reach the S tier, which are games that are easily in my top 100 favorite games of all time. And my heart belongs to these games. I really love these games, and I will continue replaying them for the rest of my life. At number 3, we have The Lion King 1.5 on Game Boy Advance. I know this game is a clone to another game, but I don't care. I really enjoyed this game, and I think if you like Lion King or Game Boy Advance or platformers or puzzle platformers or similar things to these, you should play it for yourself. Again, it's a very simple game, but I really love this game. I really enjoyed this game. I think this is the definitive definition of a hidden gem, a game that is really good but barely anyone talks about it. At number 2, we have Simba's Mighty Adventure on the PS1. And I know that this game is considered a bad game, but I grew up with this game. I grew up with PS1. I love Lion King. I love platformers. So if just like me you love PS1 platformers and the Lion King, play it. But if there's only one of these 3 that you don't love and you just like, then yeah, this game won't be for you. But it totally is for me. It's very simple, but it's that simplicity that makes it beautiful for me. Well, not literally, because it's an ugly game, but you know what, I don't care. I enjoy this game, and each time I get stressed, I can play this game and I can relax with it. This game can be ASMR for me. And yeah, not a good game, but it's a perfect game for me. Then at number 1, we obviously have the original Lion King game. And for me, the Genesis version is the superior version because I like its music more, I like its coloring more. The camera is slightly zoomed out so you can see what's in front of you, and it has a shortcut in it that makes it better. And I don't know what to say about this game because everyone in the retro gaming community say how awesome this game is, and I don't know what more to add. It's a great toying game. The iconic scenes of the movie become great levels to play in, and yeah, the only thing bad about this game is how difficult it can get sometimes, but thanks to modern re-releases, you can rewind back, you can use save states, and those two would solve the difficulty problem with it. And yeah, that's it. I think you guys may have realized that this ranking section of the video was a last minute addition and I did not have a script in front of me, so if I said something that conflicts with what I said in the review section, that would be the reason. But before that, 2 things was supposed to happen. First is that this video was supposed to be released like I think 1 month ago, but I got busy with university stuff and all. Also, this video was supposed to be much longer. I was supposed to analyze these games much deeper. I was supposed to talk more about the history of these games. And yeah, but again, because I got busy with life, I couldn't make it longer. I just had to finish the video. But I think that's a good thing, when I'm done with talking about the Lion King, when I talked about every single Lion King video that exists, I would release a compilation video. And I think at the moment YouTube does not allow anyone to upload a video that is longer than 12 hours. So yeah, I think if this video was like 6 hours long, then it would be really a problem for me. But I think now I can make a video that is shorter than 12 hours. So there's that. And yeah, I'm sorry that I had to delay this video this much. I'm thankful for your patience, but I'm getting used to this new situation, and yeah, I'll return to a regular upload soon. But don't worry, I think I can still finish talking about the Lion King franchise by the end of 2024, so there's that. But my videos would probably be shorter. Also, I need to say a thank you to 5 channels that inspired this channel and especially this video. I've been watching their contents for a while, and I am happy that I made contents like those contents as well. This quote-unquote a complete history and review way of doing it. This very long type of videos that talk about the history of franchises and like analyze them really deeply. I know I'm nowhere near as good as them. I just hope that to you guys these videos look good enough. I hope that I have not unintentionally become just a bad clone to those channels, and I don't know if it's good for me to mention them or not, but here they are. This channel and especially this video are inspired by channels like I Finished a Video Game, Your Favorite Son, Slope's Game Room, Prime's Theater, and Jordan Fringe. These 5 channels are a huge inspiration for me, and I hope that I would become a good content creator in my own way. You know, if you guys think I'm ripping those guys off, you know, tell me so that I would change my ways. And you know, those channels are doing interesting stuff, but each of them would usually stick to a certain way of a media, you know. Some of them just focus on the games and just mention the movies. One of them usually focus on the movies and not on the games. You know, one of them focuses more on the cartoons. And I try to be like all of those channels combined into one. I wanted to be a channel that treats every single media equally. You know, I don't want to be just a movie channel. I don't want to be just a gaming channel. I don't want to be just a comic book channel. I want to be a multimedia channel, like a channel that talks about every form of a media that it can. And also, you may wonder, why did I make a video like this for The Lion King? I mean, yeah, it has a few games that people know about, but usually people who do these retrospective videos like this, they usually talk about franchises that has more than a few well-known games. When licensed video games are concerned, you know, people would do videos on Spider-Man, Batman, Star Wars, Harry Potter, you know, franchises that has lots of video games. A lot of channels would do videos for those franchises, you know. I chose The Lion King because I knew nobody else would like do videos like this. I know that Slope's Game Room did a video of The Lion King games, but that was like shorter, you know, not into the details. But you know, if you try to see like a retrospective on Star Wars video games, you can find like 12-hour long videos, not 30-minute long videos, you know. I wanted to make those type of videos for the Lion King video games. And another reason is that I love Lion King, you know. I was looking for an excuse to play every single game that it has. And yeah, you know, I started doing a Lion King retrospective, and because I wanted to talk about everything and not just well-known stuff, because of that I had to make this video. And also my main reason for it was that I believe The Lion King could also be something like, you know, the likes of Spider-Man or Star Wars, you know. I feel like it has the potential to be a franchise that has lots of beloved games, you know, not just at the current situations that it is, you know, just a few known games and the rest of it are just, you know, educational games and I don't know, quote unquote mid games and or just having cameos in good video games. And Lion King can be more than that, you know. It's like Disney's best franchise because how much potential it has for a world building. You could have lots of good platformers, you could also have a lot of action adventure games in it, or you know, open world games, or like AAA RPGs, you know. I said it can be the next Star Wars really, you know. It could be like this gigantic multimedia franchise that can have really any type of video games you could imagine, and it could be good. I made this video to show that someone does in fact care. I care, you know. If The Lion King wanted to become a franchise like that, I would be there to play those games, you know. I want The Lion King to be something bigger, you know. I think it really has the potential to be something even better. And the reason that I made this video was to kind of gaslit myself into thinking that it really is a big franchise. And you know, maybe some people would not like it, you know. People maybe would like it to be smaller because again, the Star Wars example, you know, it has good games, but it also has a lot of bad stuff. But if you ask me, yeah, I want Lion King to be even bigger than what it is, and I hope this video will, by some miracle, make some Disney executives that it would make sense to make a AAA Lion King game. Yeah, that's it. I may have a few bonus videos here and there. You know, for example, I'm like reviewing these projects in a chronological order. So, you know, I'm going year by year. And like I'm around the time that Lion King 1.5 was out. And you guys probably know that after that, we were like in a Lion King drought. Like for a few years, there was no Lion King project until like 2015 or 2016 that we reached the Lion Guard era. So there was a few years that like Disney took a break from the Lion King. So I think it would be a good time for me to take a short break of the Lion King as well. I know it's not really a good thing to say now that I've delayed this video this much, but on my schedule that I had for like my YouTube channel for on this year, I was supposed to go like this, and I think I'd better stick to the schedule, because if I don't, then I don't know, maybe I could get lazy and just let go of this channel, and I'm not gonna do that. Also, don't worry, it's a very short week, you know, I'll get back to the Lion King as soon as I can. But they are contents that if you are a Lion King fan, you will probably enjoy. You know, I think I have 2 or 3 videos in which I would talk about franchises that are not the Lion King, but they are similar enough, and I think some of them have a history with the Lion King that I think it would be interesting to talk about. So in my next video, I'm going to talk about Simba the White Lion movies. You know, the franchise that the Lion King has seemingly ripped off. It's an idea that some people still stick to it, even though YMS has made a video about it and has debunked that theory. So yeah, but I still want to talk about it. If I don't talk about that franchise now, I think I will never talk about this on my channel. So yeah, I think you have probably watched the YMS video, but I'm gonna do it in my own ways. At first I wanted to talk about the entire franchise in a video, but it's a really big franchise and I'm already late, so I'll try to make it shorter, you know. Because of that, I will only talk about the movies. I try not to compare it to the Lion King, because you know, if you have watched the YMS video, you know that it's not really a good thing to compare them, because that would not be against the Lion King. You know, the Simba the White Lion franchise would be harmed more than the Lion King by doing the comparison. So yeah, you know, at first I wanted to compare it to it, but now that I've seen, no, you know, I'm just going to talk about the Simba the White Lion movies and only talk about them. I would not say what it does differently to the Lion King. I will finally make a video that is just about appreciating Simba the White Lion. So yeah, I think that would be a video that YouTube really needs, you know, finally a Simba video that is about Simba and is not about how the Lion King ripped it off. You guys tell me your honest opinions about me. If even you think all my contents are really bad, just, you know, tell me what is wrong with it so that I could improve it. And if you like my content and you want to say positive stuff, I also really appreciate that. I know that at the moment I am a very small channel, like what, I have 17 subscribers at the moment. I feel like I'm doing something wrong, but I won't stop trying, you know. I just hope that slowly I'm improving my content so that after a while I would get more, I would become bigger, you know. But even those 17 people mean the world to me, you know. I really appreciate that there are some people out there that like what I say, you know, they like my ramblings. But again, if you think I have not improved at all, again, tell me, you know, say what is wrong with me, you know. I want to improve myself, and yeah, I think I have rambled too much. Thank you all for watching this video.